I'd now like to call on a friend, a professional colleague, an author, a former teacher in the program, somebody who is pushing out books at a Don Schultz-like rate. Ron Jacobs, are you with us? Who are you? Where are you? And what's your Don story?
I think I'm there now. Yes, thank you.
I think you're there too.
Am I? Good.
You're up.
All right. So I was involved with Don and met Don right at the time that the direct marketing program was being created at Northwestern. And I got to know Don in a very special way. It became the IMC program. But I also had a little overlap. So I have an agency, Jacobs and Clevenger. We had a special knowledge in publishing. And we had a publishing client, brand new client, Chicago Magazine. And I have a love of travel. That Don and I share a lot of these same things. Love of travel. My daughter went to the IMC program. His son went. Both of us are bad tourists, but great travelers. We like to get out and see places. I have a second career. This is my second career. My first was working for an airline. I lived in Hawaii for a few years. And I had this opportunity to work with Chicago Magazine. And one day, my client at Chicago Magazine, I think it was our second meeting actually, mentioned that her husband was going to China. Well, I had been to China in 1982, and I knew a little about that, and I said, well, that's great. What does your husband do that he's going to China? And she said, oh, he's a professor at Northwestern. And somehow I had sort of not connected the dots that Heidi Schultz and Don Schultz were married. I connected the dots awful quickly. Not too long after that, we found ourselves at a conference in Hawaii. And yeah, and we were in Hawaii, and I wanted to show Don and Heidi a great time, take them to a place they wouldn't have gone otherwise. And for sure they would not have gone otherwise. A place called Haiku Gardens, which is up on the island of Oahu, but up in the mountains. And if you've been to Hawaii, you know that along the ocean, it maybe rains 1 inch a year. But up in the mountains, it rains almost every night. So we went to dinner at Haiku Gardens, Don, Heidi, my wife Penny, and I had rented for this occasion, actually for the whole week, I had rented a Subaru Samurai. Now this is a little four-wheel drive car. It has a rag top that has little turnbuckles to hold it down, and but no top over the back. And Heidi was in a dress, Penny was in a dress. They kind of climbed over us to get into the back seat. Don got in, his knees were about here, and he said, "Who makes this and why?" Which, true. We go up to dinner, we have a wonderful dinner, and we come out, and it starts raining. And it's pouring. But I quickly learned if I just drove that Subaru Samurai faster, they would get less wet in the back seat. Don still with his knees under his chin, but as I drove faster, the top started to pop. And now Don has his arm holding the top with his arm down while I'm driving fast, and they're getting drenched in the back seat. What a memorable dinner. And what a great time I showed a client and a good friend.
And here we are all these years later. Nobody got pneumonia.
No,
Nobody lost an account.
nobody lost an account. It was all
No.
great.
And we're laughing about it.
And you know, Don also had this way. He and I would speak at a lot of conferences together, and both educational and marketing conferences. And whenever we would speak together, we would be discussants at these academic conferences. And after he picked apart the writers of the papers, he would then wait until I said something, and then he would ask me one of those Don questions that would force me to stop and actually have to think beyond what I had just said about whatever that paper was written. And I won't forget that. Gosh, I'm gonna miss Don.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that story.
Ron, thank you. You see, you take 86 and a half years and you spread it across 7 continents and 4,000 people. Boy, are there stories.
Oh, their stories.
Yeah, so, yeah, and we're just touching the tip of the iceberg.